Hello, I'm Jim Cornell, and this is Base to Base, the weekly biotech podcast from Air Coastal Media. Yes, welcome again to the Base to Base biotech podcast, and this is number 22, going out on August the 15th. Also, Napoleon's birthday and relaxation day. So try and take it easy today and enjoy this week's podcast. Last week I spent a few days in Northern Ireland, not doing interviews, but walking along parts of the Causeway Coast. Definitely breathtaking scenery. I made the mistake of mentioning it to someone I know at a PR company, who promptly asked if I could interview a couple of his clients while I was there. Would love to, maybe some other time. Biotech seems to be making the headlines again this week, so more good profile building. If you do have news or suggestions for who should be on the podcast, or indeed any other suggestions or comments, please do get in touch at jim@deeptechdigest.com. And that's also the address you can use if you're interested in advertising with us or sponsoring a podcast or three. Last week, our conversations were about drug discovery with Shinya Yuki, co-founder and CEO of Elix, and our other guest was Teresa Whalen, CEO of CytoAgents, and that conversation was a broad one about CAR-T therapies, cytokine release syndrome, and the FDA. This week we're talking about, among other things, peanut allergies with Maite Agüeros, CEO and co-founder of InnoUp Farma, and we have a conversation with Judith Greciet, CEO of PulseSight Therapeutics, about new treatments for dry AMD. So first, let's take a quick look at the news you may have missed over the past week at deeptechdigest.com. Metavia is collaborating with Syntec Bio to boost drug options. Scientists in South Korea have developed AI that automatically designs optimal drug candidates for cancer-targeting mutations, and Alta Sciences and Vox Cell Bioinnovation are going to collaborate on preclinical drug development. ProBio launched its AAV manufacturing service. AI and CRISPR combined means more precise gene editing, and AMI Farm is advancing its fat reduction injectable drug to a Phase 3 clinical trial. A $6 billion AI drug discovery collaboration has been agreed. Lilly's weight loss drug averages about 27.3 pounds lost, and the first FDA-approved treatment for the eye condition MacTel has been announced. Trinity Biotech launched a preeclampsia testing service, and you can read all of these and many more that I couldn't pronounce at deeptechdigest.com. So let's move on to the first of this week's conversations, and the subject is age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And we're talking to a company that is taking this on, and that is PulseSight Therapeutics. AMD is the leading cause of central vision loss in the elderly, and it affects about 200 million people worldwide, so there's a definite need for treatments. Judith Greciet, CEO of PulseSight Therapeutics, is our guest. Thanks so much for being with us today. So to start, maybe you could tell us a bit about the company.
With pleasure. So PulseSight was launched in 2024 based on the data, clinical data and technology that was developed by a previous company called Ivantis. We are developing therapeutic strategies or therapeutic technologies dedicated to severe eye diseases. The technology is a non-viral vectorized therapy, which is a plasmid coding for a therapeutic protein, so targeting specific eye diseases, mostly severe eye diseases. And it is we are using a administration technology device, minimally invasive, quick injection, painless, to administer the gene therapy, the plasmid in the ciliary muscle, to increase the cell permeability, so allows the plasmid to enter the cell and then use the genetic machinery to express the therapeutic protein, which is released. It is a sustained release, so which is really on the mid-term, let's say, long duration to its site of interest, which is the retina, in a high level, which allows a therapeutic effect. This is a platform, so if we change the gene sequence, then we can express various therapeutic proteins for different type of diseases. So this is a platform, and we've already gone through first clinical development with the first drug called 606. That was a plasmid protein for an anti-TNF developed for non-infectious uveitis, severe non-infectious uveitis. We've decided for many reasons, including COVID, to pause the development and then, change the strategy or revisit the strategy that was part, of the relaunch of the company into PulseSight. So move the strategy and target age-related macular degeneration as our priority indication.
Could you maybe give me a little bit of background on age-related macular degeneration, or AMD, and maybe how many people are affected by that?
So, well, AMD is a quite large disease, unfortunately. It is estimated that about 200 million patients are suffering from AMD. This is a disease which occurs related to age. So this is mostly a dysregulation, notably metabolic dysregulation, which leads to retina degeneration and progressively vision loss. This is a growing pathology because of the growing age of the population. Roughly 80% of AMD are dry AMD and 20% are wet AMD. And 5% of AMD patients are suffering from what is called geographic atrophy, which is the late stage of dry AMD, which is the late stage, most severe stage of the disease, which leads to progressive vision loss with patients with black hole, central black hole most of the time, which is growing. So the patients are losing the central vision and leads to total blindness at some point. So this is a large disease or a high disease. Wet AMD, so that's an exudative form of AMD, is treated by anti-VEGF. So there's quite numerous drugs which are all somewhat anti-VEGF based in terms of mechanism of action, which will reduce the edema and therefore reduce the pressure and the photoreceptor and RPE cell death. This is kind of a symptomatic treatment. So at some point, the effects of the anti-VEGFs fade and the disease restart again. So the patient needs to be retreated on a regular basis, depending on the product and, of course, depending on the patient. That can be between monthly to every 3 months with intravitreal injection. The other form of AMD is called dry AMD. So there is no exudation, there is no vascular leakage, but there is a dysregulation in iron metabolism, which leads to a highly toxic cascade. So this is a metabolic dysregulation leading to a excess of free iron in the retina, which generates or increase a highly toxic cascade leading to photoreceptor and RPE cell death again. And in that dry AMD form and late stage dry AMD form, which is again called geographic atrophy, there is no treatment available worldwide except 2 treatments that have been approved in 2023 in the US only. No other countries have approved those treatments. Those are targeting inflammation as they are complement inhibitors. So this is a inflammation path which is targeted by those drugs, and those drugs have shown to reduce the speed of retinal degeneration, progression of the vision loss. So it's an anatomical outcome. There is no functional benefit in using those drugs, and there are some safety limitations, which is probably why at least that leads the European agency do not approve those treatments. However, they pave the way. They give reference guidelines, what is acceptable for FDA or for EMEA agencies in terms of prior AMD treatments. And this is a very first therapeutic options for patients. So on our side, we are developing PHT611, which is targeting dry AMD and geographic atrophy, for which there is no approved treatment in Europe.
Are there lots of companies working on AMD?
Of course. This is a huge market, a huge medical need of anything else. So there are quite a wide number of companies working on the diseases. Still, companies are working on wet AMD, even though the need is met at some point, but there is still some unmet need, especially in patients which are not properly responding to anti-VEGF. On dry AMD and geographic atrophy, yes, there are, of course, companies working. Quite a large number of them are working on that same inflammation path, which is involved in geographic atrophy. So the same as the one of the products that have been approved already with various types of approach. On our side, we are targeting that excess of iron, which occurs and quite upstream, from the cascade, which leads to inflammation, but not only inflammation. So we're targeting a upper level of the disease pathology to obtain a larger and better efficacy in terms of treatment.
So could you maybe tell me a little bit more about PHT611?
PHT611 is that plasmid coding for transferrin. And transferrin is a natural protein, an endogenous protein. So we all have transferrin in our cells, in our tissue, in the retina especially. And transferrin has a huge role as iron chelator or regulator. So transferrin binds free iron, which allows, to balance the level of free irons and binded iron, because iron is needed for a good cell life and metabolism, but excess of free iron, again, is highly toxic. So there is that, transferrin, which really balance the level of free iron versus binded iron to make sure that it is always, at the right level. In AMD, there is an excess of free iron. So there is a dysregulation in iron homeostasis. And our goal with PHT611 is to supplement the eye and the retina with transferrin to allow, to bind more free iron and therefore stop or prevent cascades, toxic cascades, which is induced by that excess of free iron. And the cascade leads to oxidative stress, mitochondrial damage, inflammation, and ferroptosis. And ferroptosis is a specific cellular death mechanism pathway, which is now well known and is getting very, let's say, well established as a new therapeutic target. And transferrin reduces ferroptosis or prevent ferroptosis of RPE and photoreceptors. So using our therapeutic technology, we are injecting PHT611 in the ciliary muscle. PHT611 expresses transferrin in a sustained manner. Thanks to that non-viral gene therapy approach, we believe that we have data showing that the expression lasts humans, at least, in a sustained manner to reach the retina and, again, prevents the toxic cascades generated by excess of free iron.
Does it have to keep being repeated, or do you only need to give it once?
No, well, that's, it's always tricky to answer that kind of question before getting into the clinical development and having some data. But what we have, in our preclinical data and from a first clinical trial that has been performed, not with PHT611, but with a previous candidate, the protein is expressed for a few weeks and a few months. So we believe that readministration should occur not more than 3 times a year, maybe twice a year. So that's also, a key benefit, from our candidate is that that readministration is much less frequent. So there is a lower burden, let's say, of readministration, so a better compliance to the treatment and a very good safety profile.
That's very good. Is it something that it just prevents further degeneration, or will it actually help to improve vision?
When a cell is dead, it's dead. And so it all comes to the stage at which the treatment is started, of course, and to prevent the disease progression, for sure, probably allow, a better metabolism of the cell. So maybe, get a better health tissue. We would put it this way. So at least, the idea would be to prevent disease progression, so stop the progression of the disease. We also have data showing that we have effect on the functional part of the disease, which is also very important.
Right. So could you maybe tell me a little bit more about your clinical trial pathway?
We have just entered into the phase 1. So we received the green light from the authorities. We have enrolled our first patient. We've announced our first patient enrollment. And so we are running the phase 1. The phase 1 is expected to enroll minimum 6, maximum 12 patients. We are testing 2 doses. So in terms of timeline, the study has started now and enrollment is active. And we're expecting preliminary readout early next year. As I mentioned, we already gone through the first clinical development with a previous drug in non-infectious uveitis. So we have quite some good data, clinical data in terms of safety of the administration procedure, of the administration device, as well as the plasmid itself. So we agreed that, and the agency agreed that 6 patients minimum would be enough to confirm the safety profile of the drug, as well as confirm the maximum tolerated dose or the maximum dose to be used for the phase 2. So once we have that, we expect to start the phase 2 proof of concept study to show, efficacy, efficiency, proof of concept of our drug in GA patients. And that study is expected to start next year, as soon as, we have the preliminary data of the phase 1. Probably have data by 2020 or early 2028. That's the overall clinical plan for us with that drug.
Are there any other things in your pipeline?
Of course, yeah. As I said, this is a platform. Well, of course, this is a platform. So we have that first drug, again, that has been paused in terms of development, mostly because of COVID, and a strategic choice to reorient the company development on dry AMD and geographic atrophy. However, we still have that drug to be resumed and reinitiated. And we have a very interesting drug, which is currently in late-stage preclinical development. So the drug is called PAC809. And that one is original because it is a dual plasmid. So 809 codes for 2 proteins at the same time. Aflibercept, which is a very well-known anti-VEGF in wet AMD, and decorin. And decorin is another endogenous protein that has anti-fibrotic, anti-edema properties. So we expect, and we've shown in clinical animal models, that the administration of PAC809 has a much better efficacy than aflibercept itself. So that could be, or that is a drug which is targeting non-responding patients treated with or poorly responding patients treated with anti-VEGF, and for them and for whom a very frequent re-injection is needed, and the disease is still progressing. And those, or that patient's population, that patient pool, would definitely benefit from PST-829 because of that, a larger efficacy or a deeper efficacy is confirmed, of course, in human that we've shown in animal models. And of course, benefiting also from a sustained release, which allows a better compliance because the readministration is only, a couple of times, maybe 3 times a year max.
$200 million is a lot of people. Hopefully this and other treatments mean less people suffering with AMD. Of course, there are plenty of other eye conditions that also need to be addressed. Next, we're heading to a beautiful part of Spain, Pamplona, to talk about a few subjects with the company InnoUp. It's a clinical stage company specializing in nanotechnology innovations and developing oral drug delivery solutions. It has developed a nanoparticle platform and they have 2 programs currently in the clinical stage. They're taking on peanut allergies and breast cancer. Maite Agüeros is the CEO and co-founder of InnoUp. So first of all, it's great to have you on the podcast. And second, could you give us a bit of background on the company?
Yes, thank you, Jem. It's a pleasure to be here. I am Maite Agüeros, CEO and co-founder of InnoUp Farma, a Spanish biotech company based in Pamplona. We specialize in nanomedicine, and our focus is on solving how the toughest challenge in drug development, how to deliver treatments more effectively and safely across biological barriers. InnoUp Farma was founded in 2015, but the roots of our work will go back further to academic research at the University of Navarra. I was part of a team working on how to make oral delivery of certain drugs and bioactives more efficient, especially those that can degrade in the gut or struggle to be absorbed. So we started to explore how nanoparticles, is our technology, could solve that challenge. And eventually we realized that we have something with clear therapeutic and commercial potential. That's when we spun out and formed InnoUp Farma. We started with a clear mission to improve patients' lives by solving real-world challenge in drug delivery through nanotechnology.
All right. And you're based in Pamplona. Is there much of a biotech scene around there?
Pamplona might not be widely known for biotech yet, but there is a growing ecosystem of innovation here. We have strong research institutions, clinical collaborators, and solid support from regional programs. It's a great place to build something that can scale globally. The city is building a future in life science. It has growing biotech ecosystem supported by 3 well-known universities, 2 university hospitals, and almost 10 research centers like THEMA, an increasing number of biotech companies, and also government-based initiatives like Sodena, which actually helped us to support our early development. We have been lucky to have local access to high-quality talent and infrastructure while being able to scale up with a global mindset.
Are there any other disadvantages to being in Pamplona?
There is problems, but we have also had to work a bit harder to get international visibility. I think this is the main problem. Many investors and partners are still focused on areas like US, Switzerland, or the UK. So we spend time proactively building those relationships. Say that biotech is becoming increasingly global and technology travels well. Once people see our data, the conversation quickly moves from where are you based to how can we work together.
So maybe next you could tell me a little bit about what nanomedicine is.
Yes, nanomedicine is the application of nanotechnology, working with materials at a molecular or nanoscale to diagnose, treat, and prevent diseases. Work with nanomedicine makes it so exciting because that allows us to rethink how we deliver medicine. Rather than flooding the body with a drug and hoping enough gets the right place, what we can do with this technology is that we engineer nanoparticles that target specific tissues, control the release of the drug, and protect it from degradation. To explain that for me is a bit like going from throwing paint a wall to using a laser pointer, for example. With nanomedicine, you get precision. And in InnoUp, we are using this approach, this precision of the nanomedicine, to improve oral delivery, particularly for molecules that normally struggle with absorption. That's where we have carved out a strong niche.
So could you tell me a bit more about your nanoparticle platform?
Yes, of course. This nanoparticle platform, it's a core InnoUp platform. It's a nanotechnology-based drug delivery system specifically designed to enhance drugs' efficacy and safety. What makes it truly powerful is its versatility, because we can encapsulate a wide range of active ingredients, from small molecules to peptides, proteins, and also biologics. So that makes it easier to adapt the platform across different therapeutic areas. The technology, the nanoparticles, are engineered to protect the active compound from degradation in the gastrointestinal tract, and it's so important, to adhere to the mucosal lining, which enables control, prolonged release, and improved absorption. That bioadhesion is the key. It gives the drug time to be absorbed and improves the overall efficiency of delivery. This fact translates directly into better therapeutic efficacy and safety profiles. In fact, one of the most exciting aspects is that it isn't just a theoretical model. It is already been validated in humans, because we have 2 ongoing clinical trials, one in oncology and other in immunotherapy. And both have shown that the platform is not only effective, but is also really well tolerated.
And so what are the advantages of your bioadhesive nanoparticles?
Yeah, there are several advantages. The first one is to increase the oral bioavailability, which is fundamental issue in drug development, specifically in oral delivery, because many drugs, particularly peptides, biologics, and certain small molecules, lose their effectiveness when taken orally. They can break down in the acidic environment of the stomach, for example, or pass through the intestine without being absorbed efficiently. This means that a large portion of the active ingredient never reach the bloodstream or the intended target. Our technology tackles that head on, because we encapsulate the active pharmaceutical ingredient in a protective polymeric matrix, shielding it from harsh pH, digestive enzymes, and premature degradation, for example. But we go a step further, because our nanoparticles are bioadhesive, meaning that they are designed to adhere to specific parts of the intestinal mucosa where the drugs can be absorbed. So that increases the residence time in the gut, and specifically in portion where the drug can be absorbed. So the combined effects is a significantly increase in oral bioavailability, even for difficult to absorb molecules. So in some cases, this means that we can reduce the dose because more of the drug is actually getting into the system, which may lower toxicity and improve the overall safety profile. And importantly, this improved efficiency opens the door to oral delivery for drugs that previously required injection, which is transformative for both patient experience and healthcare delivery models. So bioavailability isn't just a technical hurdle we solve, it's the key to unlock better, safer, and more accessible therapies. We have our second advantage also is the control release, which is one of the most powerful advantage of our platform. We can engineer the nanoparticles to release the drug gradually over time rather than all at once, which allow us to maintain more stable concentration of the drug in the bloodstream. And that has some multiple benefits. First, it improves patient comfort and adherence, specifically for therapies that currently require multiple daily doses, frequent injections, or infusions. Second, because we avoid the sharp peaks and troughs in drug concentration that you typically see with conventional dosing, specifically by the intravenous route formulations. And we can help to reduce the side effects related with the peaks, with the highest concentration of the drug. So control release with our technology smooth out that curve. We avoid the peaks and troughs. So in diseases that require, for example, long-term management like cancer, allergies, obesity, autoimmune conditions, that consistency in exposure isn't just about comfort. It can actually lead to better therapeutic outcomes. You are maintaining the right concentration at the right time and letting the body respond more naturally to the treatment. And our third advantage is the safety and scalability of the technology. These two factors are often deeply linked in drug development. Our nanoparticles are made from biocompatible, biodegradable polymers that already have a strong regulatory track record, including use in FDA and Europe-approved medicines. But beyond the material itself, we have also engineered an scalable and reproducible manufacturing process. So we have developed and patented a continuous production system that allows us to make high-quality nanoparticles under GMP conditions, ensuring consistency from early stage development through a commercial scale.
So what would the potential applications be for your products?
Yeah, we see incredible broad potential for the technology, which is both exciting and honestly a bit daunting because the system, you see, is really versatile. We have had to be very strategic about where to be. That is why we have initially focused on two areas that offer a clear, compelling proof of concept for what our technology do. The first is immunotherapy for food allergies, where our technology gradually helps the immune system to build tolerance. Traditionally, allergy treatments often require injections and carry significant risk of adverse reactions. Our approach is totally different and it makes it safer, more precise, and far more patient-friendly. The second approach for oncology is where we have demonstrated that we can deliver chemotherapy drugs like paclitaxel by the oral route. We increase the efficacy and significantly reduce side effects, opening the door to more effective and less toxic chemotherapy options that could reduce hospital visit and improve quality of life for patients. So these two areas have helped validate our core concept that with our technology, we can improve drug delivery, safety, and efficacy across very different types of molecules and diseases.
What are you currently doing with IMP12?
IMP12 is for cancer, and IMP20 is for immunotherapy for peanut allergy.
Okay, where are you at with both of those in terms of the strategy and the pathway that you're on? Where are they currently?
Okay, so with IMP12, so we are finishing the clinical phase 1, and the results are really encouraging. IMP12 is for the treatment of breast cancer, is the chemotherapy. In this moment, we have demonstrated a significant improvement in oral absorption without relying toxic excipients or absorption enhancers, which are often a concern in other oral formulations. What's particularly important is that the clinical trial, we have not seen any signs of toxicity, which is a clear differentiator when compared to other approaches and traditional intravenous administration of paclitaxel. We are looking at this moment for potential partner to continue or license the program as well. With IMP20 is the immunotherapy for the treatment of peanut allergy. We have completed a phase 1 clinical trial in peanut allergic patients. The formulation was really well tolerated, and we saw early signs of immunological activity, which proves the immunomodulatory effect of InnoUp technology. We are now preparing the phase 2 trial to assess efficacy, and we are in discussions with potential partners to co-development or license the program. We have also two more programs in the preclinical phase. It's called IMP30 and IMP40 for infectious disease and obesity, respectively. They are in an early stage development. Our goal with them is, and with other drugs being developed through partnerships, is always to create oral extended release, new formulation with added value for the patients.
With the peanut allergy treatment, what are the goals of that? Are you looking to prevent reaction to peanuts or get to a point where somebody could be not concerned about eating with something with peanut as an ingredient?
Well, with IMP20, our goal with ease is to create a safety buffer that significantly reduce the risk of severe, potentially life-threatening reactions from accidental exposure. People with peanut allergies live with constant uncertainty, whether it's at school, in a restaurant, or eating processed foods. Even trace amount can be dangerous, and our therapy is designed to gradually increase the immune system tolerance to peanuts in a controlled, safe, and non-invasive way. So the aim is to raise the threshold of reactivity so that if a patient encounters a small amount of peanut by accident, their body doesn't launch a severe immune response. That's already a huge shift in safety and peace of mind. And for families, especially parents with young children, that can be life-threatening. It reduces anxiety, makes school and social environments more manageable, and improves overall the quality of life. But our vision goes beyond the symptom control. IMP20 represents a novel first-in-class approach to reprogram the immune system, training it to respond to peanut allergy the way it responds to pathogens after a vaccination. The idea is that over time, we can establish a long-lasting and durable immune tolerance, much like the protection we get from infectious disease vaccine that can last for years or even decades. If we succeed, a patient wouldn't just be managing risk day to day. They have been building real, lasting protection with a treatment that is oral, convenient, and safe. This is about empowering patients, not just treating their condition. It is about moving forward a future where food allergies don't define how people live their lives.
Is this something that would apply to potentially other allergies?
Yes, absolutely. One of the biggest advantage of our technology is its modulatory. We can easily adapt it to encapsulate different allergens, whether it is tree, nuts, milk, eggs, shellfish, dependent on the clinical need. So because the platform is so flexible, we are also exploring the idea of combination therapies, where multiple allergens could be delivered in a single oral product. This is particularly relevant for children with multiple food allergies, which is more common than many people realize. Imagine a single daily dose that helps build tolerance to peanut, milk, and eggs at once. That is a powerful vision. The long-term potential goes even further. If we can demonstrate safety and efficacy in therapeutic settings, this approach could also be explored for preventive use, particularly in infants and young children who are at high risk of developing allergies due to, for example, family history or early signs of sensitization. So the idea of an oral tolerance-inducing product that could prevent the onset food allergies altogether is incredibly exciting, and it's scientifically grounded. Early exposure is already a key concept in allergy prevention, and our platform could deliver that exposure in a controlled, immunological, intelligent way rather than reliant or uncontrolled environmental contact. So yes, while we are starting with peanut allergy as our first indication, the underlying technology is probably applicable. So not just to other allergen, but potentially to both treatment and prevention across a range of at-risk populations.
What are the next steps for the company with your different assets?
Each of our programs is at a different point in its development, and we are carefully advancing them to maximize both scientific rigor and strategic value. For IMP20, the immunotherapy for food allergies, is progressing towards phase 2 clinical trials. We have already gathered valuable data on safety and clinical efficacy in the phase 1. And the next step is to go into the phase 2. We are also in discussion with clinical sites in Europe and USA to ensure that our phase 2 trial designs is robust, patient-friendly, and aligned with regulatory expectations. And for IMP12, the oral formulation for chemotherapy for the treatment of breast cancer has successfully completed a clinical phase 1. We have shown no signs of toxicity and drug plasma concentrations consistent with expected therapeutic efficacy. That is a key milestone for us, and it confirms both the safety of our technology and the potential of this formulation to perform as well or even better than intravenous alternatives, but with far greater convenience and patient comfort. We are now entering the regulatory preparation for phase 2 trials. For IMP30 and IMP40, we are in preclinical optimization. We are fine-tuning the formulation, validating the delivery and the release profiles in relevant models, and conducting efficacy and immunogenicity testing to support the advancement toward IND-enabled studies. These are both high potential, high impact programs, and we have been thoughtful about the developments, timelines, and scientific formulation. So across all of our assets, our broader goal is to advance them efficiently but strategically. We have actively seeking the right partnerships, whether that is for co-development, licensing, or investment, to help accelerate progress while maintaining our scientific integrity. That could mean partnering with pharma companies with deep expertise in a specific therapeutic area, or engaging with investors and institutions aligned with our mission to improve how complex drugs are delivered. So we see InnoUp is not just a biotech company, but as a platform enable one that can work collaboratively to bring better drug delivery solution to a wide range of diseases. As we move forward, building smart, long-term partnerships will be key to scaling both our science and our impact.
Obviously, you're doing an awful lot now. Is there anything else that is in the pipeline?
One of the most exciting is IMP30, which represents a novel approach to oral vaccines for infectious disease. Most vaccines today still rely on injections, which can limit access, specifically in low-resource settings. With our technology, we are exploring how to deliver antigens orally, targeting mucosal immunity while maintaining antigen stability and control release. This could offer a needle-free, scalable alternative to traditional vaccination methods.
Hopefully great news for allergy sufferers, and I'd be eternally grateful if it works on pollen allergies and my strange allergy to blueberries. Always interesting to talk to people in non-traditional biotech locations around the world too. So that's it for another podcast. If you have questions or comments, suggestions for guests, or want to sponsor one or more podcasts, please do get in touch, and you can do so at jim@deeptechdigest.com. So, until next week, wherever in the world you are, I hope you have a great week. Thanks for listening, and I hope you'll join us again next time for another Base to Base Biotech podcast. The Base to Base Biotech podcast is an Air Coastal Media Limited production.